Obviously it's a short-term rental conference going on today. My name is Josh. I actually have 70 Airbnbs in my portfolio right now. So I just kind of came to network, meet new people, see what's going on. It seems fun, what's going on now. So just a little bit about me though, so you guys have some background. I'm 25 years old. I started this business when I was around 21. I got my first 2 Airbnbs. I do something called rental arbitrage. So, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool business model to get into, especially if you can't afford to buy a whole house. So this is currently what I do. I started with about $12,000 on my first 2 units, and then I just kind of snowballed that money into just creating this empire with 70 Airbnbs. I have a full-time team now who kind of just help with everything. That's the reason why I'm here without having to check my phone and answer Airbnb calls. So yeah, that's a brief introduction of myself. Yeah, so it's a good question. So I actually got started just off of YouTube. So YouTube University, as you guys may know, I didn't go to school, I didn't go to college. So I got started just off of YouTube, and I actually learned from someone who I ended up taking his class after I got a bunch of Airbnbs, and coincidentally now I'm coaching for his class. His name is Sean Rikiji, if you've heard of him. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I just got started off with free YouTube content.
Yeah,
okay. Absolutely.
How did you go from, how did you scale so quickly?
Great question again. So basically the trick and the reason why I love arbitrage with a passion is because I'm able to basically talk to an owner. Like say I'm talking to an owner, say, hey, I would love to rent out your property. We take care of your property. We clean your property multiple times a week. We make sure it's always ready for, if you sell the home, it's going to be in perfect condition, just because we have to sell the home to our guests too. So once I talk to an owner like that, we're able to negotiate free rent. So I would pick up, let's say 5 apartments in a building, and I would get 2 to 3 months of free rent on each. So because we're able to get 2 to 3 months of rent on each, this might hit some people like, hey, how does he do that? But I furnish a 2-bedroom property in like 48 hours. I can furnish an entire 2-bedroom property in 48 hours and just have it up and running. So we take that 3 months of free rent, it takes us only 48 hours to set it up, and then we pay off our furniture with that free rent. So we're able to just keep snowballing that after we get the rent concessions. So rent concessions is definitely the secret to growing a short-term rental portfolio when doing arbitrage. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So with arbitrage, explain that, just for anybody who would want to understand what that means.
So rental arbitrage. Okay, so there's 3 ways to do Airbnb. One is to own a home. That's the most conventional way. The second is to do property management / co-hosting. That's when you go up to an owner and you say, hey, I'll manage a property for you. So there's no expenses involved in that method. And then the third one is what I do is rental arbitrage. So I would go up to an owner and say, hey, owner, I see you have 5 empty units in this apartment. Let me rent them out, right? As a tenant, I'll pay you the rent that you asked for. I may negotiate a little bit lower, but I'll pay you the money you asked for. But I'm just going to list this on Airbnb, right? Is that okay with you? Cool. All right, let's sign a lease addendum. Here's my Airbnb lease addendum, and that's kind of how you get into that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
How important was it for you after the YouTube University to then get a mentor, or was that a next step for you?
So after I got my first 2 units, YouTube did help a lot, but it was kind of like I wanted someone to ask questions to, right? So when I got on that course, I was able to ask whatever questions that I wanted. And, obviously I drove to a point that if I do have questions, it's kind of like very complex questions that I should be able to answer, right? So when I first got started, being able to have someone to answer your questions is definitely helpful. I do recommend anyone take that same course that I told you about, Sean Rikiji. You can actually DM me on on Instagram, Fletch FLETCH _BNB, and I can also help you get signed into Sean's program. But it's very helpful to have a mentor in any field, not even just Airbnb and just regular real estate or any business venture, because it's like, say for instance, you ask me a question, 9 times out of 10 I've been through whatever question you're asking. It's very rare that someone at my size, you're not gonna have encountered that. So yeah, super important just to help you grow, to help you scale your business.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where do you think this spirit came from, this entrepreneurial thing? Is this in your family? Like, explain that.
That's a great question. That's a great question. So, I feel like multiple places. I do feel like it's probably in the bloodline, because I do have some family members who are business owners as well. But I didn't come from any money or, rich by any means. I feel like what really drove me initially as a kid, because I've been an entrepreneur since high school, was just watching my mom, single mother household, so she took care of us, me and my two other siblings, and just watching her put in the hard work every day. And it was to a point, as a kid, you want to ask your mom for toys, a new bike, I didn't even want to ask my mom for anything. So I said, you know what, I made it a goal of mine to again, never have to ask my mom for anything and be able to help her and support her. So I feel like it started from a young age. Now, I'm the type of person that it helps me when someone puts batteries in my back. So when I got started initially, I was 21 years old. So there was this one owner, this is when I had like 2 units, there was this one owner, we did the deal, everything was good. I pitched her on rental arbitrage, actually it was a guy, sorry. I pitched him on rental arbitrage and everything was good. We was actually about to sign the lease. Before we signed the lease, he asked for the ID. I showed him the ID. He said, hey, you're 21 years old, is that correct? I said, yeah, I'm 21 years old. I have a couple Airbnbs in my portfolio already. And he denied me because of that. Now, obviously there's some legalities around that, but that was probably the number one thing that drove me, because when I first got started, I really didn't want to keep growing and growing and growing. But after that, it was like, now I had a point to prove. Now I had someone who didn't believe in me. They thought I was too young. They thought I wasn't gonna make it. Now I have fuel behind me. So I feel like that one instance is what really drove me to keep going. And I mean, thank God that owner, at the time I was very sad, I'll be honest. I was very upset because when you close a deal, it's kind of like, yeah, like we're gonna pop a bottle, right? We're gonna have some fun. But after we was ready to sign and it just hit me. So now it's like, yeah, I had a point to prove. Now I'm on a mission. So I would say those are some motivations that helped me get to where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the next big goal? What's the next thing in your sights right now?
The next thing in my sights, great question. So I've always wanted to say, hey, I want 100, I want 100. The 100 is a big number, but that goal is not really that much of a goal for me anymore. I feel like it'll come naturally if it does. So right now I'm really working on other businesses. I want to keep the entrepreneurial flow going. I'm always working on being a better leader for my team as well. So, just kind of making sure that I'm the person who I need to be able to run these businesses. So just a lot of, working on myself and starting some new businesses. All right, take care. So yeah, that's kind of it for me. I'm just like I said, I'm just trying to working on me, and I'm still working on other businesses as well.